Tesla is one of the most bought and sold stocks so far in 2023, and they just announced earnings just a few days ago. There were a few things that Elon Musk said that were concerning, and there were a few news and notes that you should know about in case you are buying or selling shares of Tesla. Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, if you're watching this video, I don't think I need to explain what Tesla is. They are the US leader in electric vehicles, and I would bargain to say they're probably the world's leader in electric vehicles. They have a lot of really great things going for them. But one, Elon Musk is a little bit concerned about the economy and how, I guess, eager people are going to be for buying their cars here in the future. And they have some earnings results that weren't all that great. So for example, their margins, that's the amount of money they make between what they pay for the car and what they sell the car for, was around 17%. Now it is down to just a 7% margin. Their revenue grew by just 9%. Now that sounds pretty good. Problem is, when I compare this to last year, their revenue jumped 56%. Okay, you go from a 56% growth to just 9%. That is a little bit to be concerned about. So what is going on with Tesla? What is Elon Musk worried about? Here's the thing. Number one, their margins are shrinking because the competition has changed. There are nearly 200 electric vehicle models available for people to buy. 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. It was Tesla and only Tesla. So back then, even I would say probably 8 or 9 years ago, Teslas were running you about $80,000 a car. Now they're down to 40, which is great for average people like me, who can afford a $40,000 car versus an $80,000 car. But that's where that margin comes in, right? When you are making a huge 20% margin between what you're buying and selling, now that's been cut in half. And how much further is Tesla going to go to make their cars more affordable to compete with Ford and GM and everyone else that's out there that's putting out electric cars? And I don't know about you, but the way that this electric car movement is going, there are only going to be more electric vehicles out there. That is not going to change. Now, I will say that the good thing about Tesla is the fact that they have really controlled I like to call it controlling the rail, but controlling the infrastructure here. It was Ford, Rivian, and perhaps even GM, I think, had already signed on with Tesla to rework their chargers and use Tesla's charging network. That's an amazing move for Tesla that's going to keep them in a seat of power and in a seat of control, at least for, I would argue, I guess, the foreseeable future, meaning like 5 years or so. We'll see what the big automakers are going to do in the future, but how are people going to spend? That is the biggest question in the short term, is the question that Elon Musk has, because as interest rates have climbed and are likely to stay there at least halfway through 2024, what are we going to see here, right? People aren't as eager to take out loans. We also know that we've had data that people are getting their cars repossessed at a record rate, which is not something that you want to see either. So if people are going to slow down on spending, they're not really excited about taking out a loan for a new car, you would expect sales to dip a bit. We'll see if that's going to be the case, but that is a concern. Now, does this mean that Tesla is going to crash? Does it mean that Tesla is not going to be a great stock next year or over the next 6 to 10 months or what have you? That one I'm not sure. What I am curious about, the question I really have is this. How much of Tesla's growth and results are due to Tesla, the company, and what they are doing and the products that they make, and how much of it is Elon Musk just being a celebrity and people just liking and gravitating to him? I don't know. There's no metric that says X amount of people are trading because of Elon, X amount of people are trading because they think Tesla's actually a good company. And based on what we see, I would argue that Tesla is a good, solid company. I said that last year as well, even though the stock tanked, primarily due to Elon and what he was doing, how people felt about him, what he was saying, what he was doing with Twitter, now X, or whatever it is that you want to call it. But I think this is what makes Tesla perhaps one of the most difficult stocks to analyze and break down, because it is very difficult to ascertain the value here of a company when so much of its value and reputation is tied up in a person that is erratic, but also a person that you can't really assess a value to. Like, even if you're looking at a company like Meta, it doesn't really matter what Mark Zuckerberg really does, right? Outside of his work life. No one really knows or cares. Most of y'all don't know who runs Ford. Nobody knows who the CEO of Walmart is, right? Y'all don't care, right? But when it comes to Elon, he sways how the market moves around that particular company. And we saw this last year with his tweets when he said, hey, should I sell? Or, what should I do with this tax bill? Should I sell X amount of shares? The stock tanked every time that he did something like that. And he's been sued, or at least reprimanded by the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, for doing that. So my advice here and my analysis and takeaway is this. How long is Tesla going to remain in this spot? Okay, now I'm not telling you that it's going to fall off a cliff. I really don't think it's going to lose its #1 spot really for the foreseeable future. Like, it would have to be at least a decade in my eyes before Tesla loses that spot. The real question is it going to continue to grow at the rate that we are all used to? Where I still own shares of Tesla. It's up double digits so far this year, but a 20% year for Tesla as an investor, we're used to that. But we're used to making 20, 30, sometimes 40% a year. Is that going to continue, or is Tesla going to fall back to the Walmart, Costco status where 7%, 9% is solid? Or is it going to continue to be treated like a tech company and get those double-digit returns year in and year out? Is it going to be treated like an Nvidia or Google or Microsoft? These are questions that I would have. I think the most important thing across any investor and with any investment is that you have rules in place. Okay, how much do you want to dedicate to Tesla if you really believe in the company compared to what you have in your portfolio outside of that? Because I see far too many new investors go head over heels into one stock and absolutely nothing else, and that can make you some money sometimes. Okay, it absolutely can, but it can also get you burned. And the point of investing, or the strategy behind investing rather, is that you can make money while protecting yourself from the downside. So y'all know me, 5% is my max. Okay, I'm not putting more than 5% in any one company, which years like this, when Tesla's up the way it is, some people say, well, you left money on the table. Maybe I did, right? I'm okay with leaving some money on the table to avoid what we saw in 2022 when the stock was down more than 50%. Right? If you were down 50% last year, you might not have broken even just yet. So you want to make sure that you are protected, that you're getting the upside while limiting, keyword is limiting, your downside, because that's what's going to make you an investing winner at the end of the day. But outside of Tesla, what are some other ideas that you should add to your portfolio? What are some other things that can really round out your portfolio as a whole? And maybe a few things that can pay you a little bit of dividends on the side. If you're looking for that, these are the videos that you need to watch next.